Good morning, baseball fans. It is Sunday, January 7th. I'm not going to wish you a Happy New Year because apparently the moratorium on wishing people Happy New Year is much shorter than a weekend. So no Happy New Year's to y'all. So this is episode, I think 53. I don't know about that. I'm not positive, so don't quote me on that. But this is episode 53 of Bourbon and Baseball. I'm Suzy. That is Kelsey. And we're gonna get going. And we've had some hot stovings, but first we're going to tell you about the about our 40-man finds. So if you guys are new to the channel, the 40-man find is basically any guy on the 40-man roster of any of the teams that, obviously, of all of the baseball teams that we just kind of like, that maybe a cool guy that we would probably like to hang out with, be friends with, be buddies with, grab a drink with. Not so much like we want to date or anything like that, because that's just weird. But maybe a superstar, maybe not a superstar, maybe
somebody
just like
to keep an eye on.
Mm-hmm. So we are going worst to first. This episode, our guys are from the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Cleveland Guardians, used to be Indians. And if I was a professional, I would tell you, who next week's guys are, but I'm not a professional and I'm not going to do that. So
don't spoil it.
Yeah, just the anticipation is what's going to bring you.
You have to tune in. Yeah.
So the way that we broke this up is Kelsey is going to do all of the AL teams and I am going to do all of the NL teams, basically because our favorite teams are from the opposite sides. And so we decided, that it'd be cool if we learned about other guys from other leagues, because I'm more familiar with AL. Kelsey's obviously more familiar with NL. So we decided to switch. So today's guy is, drum roll. I don't know if you could actually even hear that, but that's okay.
I can hear it.
And when I was like looking at the Pirates 40-man, I was like, there's so many.
Yeah,
there's so many guys that I was like, maybe I'm like, should I go with the standard? Should I talk about Kutch? But I couldn't, because everybody knows Kutch, right? So I was like, okay, fine. I want to do AndrewMcCutchen. And then I was going to stay in the whole vein of like Asian pride and be like, okay, like G1 Bay. But in the whole vein of, we're really not going to promote, trash bags. G1 Bay apparently has multiple domestic violence things against him. And so I was like, son of a bitch, why?
Not great. Pass.
I forgot to give you guys the rated R wording. Sorry, guys. I let a cuss word slip.
Before we get into this.
Yeah. Before we get into the whole actual episode, I'm going to give you the rated R warning. This show is rated R, not for the adult content in the way that you're thinking. Not normal, quote unquote, online adult content. No. Just for the 4-letter words. Okay. Just for the 4-letter words. No spicy links here, guys. No. Just maybe some inappropriate adult humor, because I have the mind of an apparently 14-year-old boy, and all of the cuss words, all of them, not just one, all of them. So cuss words, the F word, not your jam. That's okay, but this podcast probably is not for you. That's just so. With that, we'll jump into it. The Pirates.
Okay, so you didn't pick Kutch.
Didn't pick Kutch.
Okay. Who did you pick?
JackSuwinski.
Ooh, I think I have a nickname for JackSuwinski, but I'll let you tell us about him first, because I don't know anything about him, and mine is not a very nice. I'll let you tell us about him first, so that I feel bad about my nickname.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, now I'm like super interested about this.
It's going to lead into actually one of the free agent signings that we're going to talk about today. So
okay. All right. I like this. All right. So JackSuwinski, if you guys are not super familiar with the Pirates organization, and really like, why would you be? Unless you're, from Pittsburgh. But JackSuwinski is a 25-year-old outfielder, lefty outfielder from Chicago. And apparently he's always wanted to be a ball player. According to a second grade career day.
Nice.
When he grew up, he was going to be a baseball player. And I And I kind of love that because I was listening to a podcast one time and they were talking about like literally the odds of being an MLB player is less than like 2% or something ridiculous.
Yeah, I actually, I just looked it up because I just think this is such a relevant like point of context for a lot of things. There have only been a total of 20,532 Major League Baseball players ever. That's like that's half of what would fill Dodger Stadium.
Yeah.
That have ever played Major League Baseball. Like it just puts so much in perspective. Anyway.
Yeah. So obviously that this is a, math pod and I am that Asian to do all of the maths. I'm not. Sarcasm. And so but the fact that, this second grader, like how old are you when you're in second grade? 6, 7 years old,
7,
says I'm going to grow up and be a major league player. And then he does. And I love that. So he actually committed to Indiana University, but then said, JK, I'm going to get drafted. And so in 2016, he was drafted by the Padres. 15th, in the 15th round. He was the 444th draft pick. Yeah.
Wow.
So I want to say that I don't think his round exists any longer. I'm trying to remember.
Oh, yeah, maybe not.
Like, is it 12 rounds that they do now?
I think so, yeah. So they probably wouldn't, they wouldn't have.
Yeah, so someone fact checked me on that, and please put it in the comments and let me know. I'm doing this off of the top of my head, and that's not the greatest place to store information if you're me. So I just know that there are less rounds to get drafted. So, but anyways, he was the 444th draft pick in the 2016 draft, and he signed for a measly $550,000 signing bonus. And I say that kind of tongue in cheek because for like normal people that, is a nice little $500,000 payday, but in the lens of MLB, it is smaller. Yeah. But the fact that he was that far down, I guess, and still got a signing bonus is still remarkable. So in July of 2021, he was traded from the Padres in a 3-person trade. And I'm going to pick my book up and read it because I'm afraid that I'm going to mess up these names. But it was him, Tucapito Marcano, I think that's how he said it, and Michelle Milanato for Adam Frazier and $1.4 million. So Padres got Adam Frazier, and the Pirates got JackSuwinski, Tucapita, and Michelle. And so then in November of 2021, the Pirates added JackSuwinski to their 40-man roster in order to protect him from the Rule 5 draft. There's lots of like little intricacies about the Rule 5 draft. I'm not going to go into that right now. But basically, they had to put him on the Rule 5 draft or else other clubs were able to pick him up. So just very brief overview about that. So basically, if you're put on somebody's 40-man so that, the clubs think that you're important enough to save, it's a good little feather in your cap. Yep. So in April of 22, from Double A, never played a game in Triple A. He made his major league debut.
Nice.
And I was like, I read that and I remember thinking, I heard that. And I like way back in my mind in the recesses, and I was like, I think I heard that like when I was watching a random Pirates game. But the fact that like he literally had never played a AAA game, and I was like, what does that say about your AAA that like no, you couldn't bring anybody up from your AAA team to fill in? You had to like go all the way down to your AA, but I don't know, maybe he was balling out. At that point in time, I think he actually was balling out. But Brian Reynolds and Cole Tucker apparently had gone on the COVID list, and so he was the starting right fielder versus the Brewers for his opening game, and he had a 2-out single for his first hit. And I was like, oh, look at you, JackSuwinski. Love that for you. He hit his first home run versus the Dodgers. We love that. May 9th. On June 4th, he had a walk-off home run versus the D-backs. Mm-hmm.
All right.
And then on June 19th, he had his first multi-home run game versus the Giants. Yep. Not only, was it his first multi-home run game, first Pirates rookie to hit 3, count them, 3
Wow.
home runs in a game since Andrew McCutchen in 2009.
Hey, we knew we'd bring Hutch into it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So some good company there to be in. So it was also the second Pirates rookie to hit 2 walk-off home runs in one season. Apparently, Wally Westlake was the first one in 1947. I was like, what?
Wally Westlake.
Yeah, household name. I don't know why that name is not familiar with you. So unfortunately, though, that kind of concluded his little awesomeness in the MLB for a little while, because he apparently in 72 games slashed only 198, 288, and 428 with 14 home runs, 25 RBIs in 72 games. So they demoted him to the AAA level. Imagine that. Like, what? A AA guy?
Sometimes you gotta go.
Not coming up, and I'm like, come on now, guys. But, so he ended his season, the 22 season, in AAA. But the 23 season, he was back up on the opening day roster, and on April 29th, he hit his first career grand slam.
Nice.
Against the Nationals. I bet you $1 million, Kelsey, that you cannot guess the pitcher that he hit his grand slam off of from the Nats.
It wasn't Patrick Corbin?
Nope.
Was it a position player?
I have no idea, because I don't recognize this name at all.
I got no guesses then.
Hobie Harris.
Huh. Yeah, no.
I was like, what the fuck is Hobie Harris?
No idea.
So it may have been a position player, because that game, the Pittsburgh Pirates won 16-1 in a doubleheader, and that was game 2 of the doubleheader.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah. So it very well may have been.
Yeah.
On May 29th, he became the second player ever to hit 2 home runs into McCovey Cove at Oracle Park in the same game.
Nice. Oh, that's always epic. That's like such a moment to hit it into McCovey Cove. Oh, cool.
Yeah. So the other player that's ever done that, Barry Bonds.
No way. Barry Bonds is the only other player that's ever done that?
Yep. So
that's insane.
Barry Bonds, who did it twice in 2000 and 2002.
Oh my gosh, how cool.
So his name is floated up there with Andrew McCutchen and Barry Bonds. And JackSuwinski, like, of course. You're like, oh, all right. He's also the first ever visiting player to perform the feat.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I was like, wow. All right then. The Pirates ended up unfortunately losing that game 4-14.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but he ended the season slashing 297, 413, and 656. 656. Yeah. FYI, in case you're wondering why I keep emphasizing that 656 number, that's because that is his slug. And basically, if you slug 500, you're a really, really, really good power hitter. Okay, so he is a good power hitter because he is the Pirates' home run leader for the 2023 season.
Oh, I believe that. Yeah.
JackSuwinski. Yeah. So 26 home runs last season. And if you look at JackSuwinski, he doesn't look like.
Well, this is where I'll tell you my nickname for him, because, and it's also like very unjustified and very unfair. And that's why I didn't want to say it right away, because I know that he is more of a power hitter, but I would call him the knockoff HarrisonBader because of what he looks like, exclusively based on what he looks like. And because like he would always do like really annoying things, like make some great catch in the outfield that like he just barely made, or get a freaking 2-out single or something like that against the Cardinals. And so he was just always a thorn in my side. And I said, who is this guy? He just looks like the knockoff HarrisonBader.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess maybe it is something to do with kind of stocky blonde guys, because he is a very scrappy defensive outfielder. So he's played all three positions, and some infield as well. And so like he's kind of everywhere. But also apparently an entrepreneur.
Really?
Mm-hmm. He is the co-founder of a business called RYP with him and one of his childhood friends. And they have a baseball training facility in St. Charles, Illinois.
Oh,
I don't know how
cool.
far.
That is not far from me at all.
Less than an hour. Apparently it's like 30 minutes from Wrigley, I guess. So,
yeah, it's not far at all.
So he has baseball and softball coaches that, in this training facility, and apparently JackSuwinski on his off days will go, and you can have private lessons with JackSuwinski. And then apparently at Christmas time, they went and auctioned off hitting lessons with JackSuwinski for a local charity called Helping Hands, which is a nonprofit dedicated to helping children and adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And so for their Christmas gala, they auctioned off hitting lessons with JackSuwinski, and apparently he just goes and he will volunteer his time, but secretly kind of under the radar.
Yeah.
So that people don't know about it.
Jack, what a guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like,
I'll never call him the knockoff HarrisonBader again.
So I think he gives off a little bit different vibe from HarrisonBader. Not knocking HarrisonBader, but HarrisonBader kind of has that fuckboy mentality.
Absolutely. And JackSuwinski is obviously a better hitter too than HarrisonBader. So I'm not.
Yeah. So
learn about him.
Yeah. So if by chance you are looking for a Pirates game and you're like, hey, who is that guy out there that kind of looks like not HarrisonBader, JackSuwinski.
That's a really good one, because there were so many interesting things about him, and obviously he's one to watch for sure if he's already got himself in company like McCutchen and Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
But because he's on the Pirates, he's under the radar.
Exactly.
And then he's still so young. It's been up and down a couple times. That's a really good one.
So in case you ever need a random bar trivia fact,
or if you want to go take hitting lessons in St. Charles, Illinois,
there you go.
Hey, I might look into making a fool out of myself for that.
Right?
Jack's going to be there.
YouTube material for sure. Get all of the content.
All of the content. Mm-hmm. What we'll do for content.
Exactly. So tell me, Kelsey, who is your guy?
So I went with Noah Gibson Naylor, also known as BoNaylor, of the Cleveland Guardians. And I did not know much about him. He was not on my radar. And in fact, I picked him because I was like, that BoNaylor, that's not Josh Naylor. It's not. There is another Naylor. There's actually more than 2 Naylors even, but we'll get to that. So BoNaylor was born on February 21st, 2000. He is from, let's see if I can say this, Mississauga, Ontario. Not sure if that's how you say it. Let me know. But he played for the Canadian national junior baseball team in Ontario, and he appeared in the Under Armour All-American Game and the Under-18 Baseball World Cup held in Ontario in 2017. He actually played a lot of different youth tournaments growing up at the Toronto Blue Jays Stadium at Rogers Center. He committed to attend Texas A&M University to play college baseball, but he was drafted by the Cleveland Indians in the first round with the 29th pick in the 2018 draft. So he signed with Cleveland rather than enrolling at Texas A&M for, again, kind of a measly $2.5 million signing bonus, even as their first round pick. But, he got something. So good for him. Naylor spent the 2019 season with the Lake County Captains, which is the single A team for the Indians, not too far from where my husband grew up. So I've been told I'm going to go to a Captains game soon. Stay tuned for that. Over 107 games with the Captains, he batted .243 with 11 home runs and 65 RBIs. In 2021, he is up in Double-A with the Akron Rubber Ducks. Another great name for a team that I didn't know existed, from Akron, Ohio. He slashed only 188, 280, 332 with 10 home runs and 44 RBIs over 87 games with the Rubber Ducks. So maybe a little bit of an adjustment period there in Double-A. In June, Naylor was selected to play in the All-Star Futures game in that 2021 season. Then in 2022, he's still with the Rubber Ducks. He had a .271 average, so definitely started to figure some stuff out. 898 OPS and 6 home runs. He was promoted to the Columbus Clippers, the AAA team, in June. So
there's one of these AAA teams that are the Trash Pandas. I don't remember where.
Yeah. It's I think it's a West Coast team, but yes.
But they're the Trash Pandas. I was like, that is the best fucking name really ever. I want to be a Trash Panda.
My husband and I actually have decided, once we get to the Phillies, I'll have to dig into this a little more. But we have decided that we are Iron Pigs fans, which is
yes,
Phillies, because they have all these bacon theme nights and stuff, and they just seem really fun. They do a great job over there. Shout out Iron Pigs. Anyway, the Guardians selected Naylor's contract on October 1st, 2022. They added him to their active roster, and he made his major league debut the same day against the Kansas City Royals as a defensive replacement at catcher. He is a catcher. He made his first start the very next day. He actually played for the Canadian national baseball team in the 2023 World Baseball Classic as well. Pretty cool. I missed him there too. I guess Team Canada wasn't super high in the highlights, but
no.
He was actually optioned to start the 2023 season back with the Columbus Clippers, but he was promoted to the big leagues on June 17th of the 2023 season and became their primary catcher at that point. So I think his defensive upside and the potential at the plate brought him up, and they're just like, let's give him a go. In his first 38 games after his June 17th promotion, which spanned through August 18th, so first 38 games up there, he hit only 183, 21 hits, 4 home runs, 14 RBIs with 5 doubles and a 602 OPS. But then, kind of like he did with the Rubber Ducks, after he came up and needed half a season, but really turned it around, added almost 100 points to his batting average in his second season in Double-A, he's got it. He's settled in from August 19th through the end of the regular season of 2023. He was one of the premier catchers in the league. In his final 28 games of the year, he hit .321 with 26 hits, 8 doubles, 7 home runs, 18 RBIs, and a 1.113 OPS.
Wow.
Yeah, his OPS in that span actually led the American League in a minimum of 90 plate appearances and ranked second in Major League Baseball, only behind Marcell Ozuna of the Braves for OPS. That's crazy.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So he also led MLB primary catchers with a minimum of 90 plate appearances in both on base percentage with .434 and slugging percentage of .679 in that last half of the season. This is one of the most fun facts that I found about BoNaylor so far in his career, his very young career. On August 25th, he hit a game-tying home run against the Blue Jays in his first at-bat at Rogers Center in Toronto, which was just a half hour from where he grew up. So he had played so many youth tournaments there. I think they said his most recent youth tournament was not even 5 years before he ends up hitting this home run in the major leagues. And it's a game-tying home run.
Right.
Nonetheless.
That's awesome.
Yeah, what a moment. So they go on to win that game 4-1, and Bo became the first Canadian to hit a home run in his first at bat in Canada. So he's in the record books already as well. Now you might know Josh Naylor, which is where I was a little confused when I saw another Naylor.
Why does that name sound so familiar?
Right. Yeah. Well, BoNaylor's older brother, Josh Naylor, he also plays for the Cleveland Guardians. How crazy is it that they play for the same team even?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I know this has happened before. Obviously, the Giants have twin brothers who are pitchers, but crazy. So Josh Naylor started as a first baseman. He's also an outfielder, but also they have another brother, Miles Naylor, who was drafted by the A's in 2023 as a third baseman, and he's currently with the A's single A affiliate.
And apparently baby brother is the best out of all of them.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's how the Molinas are, right? They had 3 brothers and Yadi was the youngest and was definitely the best. That's just wild to me.
Yeah.
Like, again, we just said, that's why I think I was thinking about that statistic that I had heard, that there was just over like 20,000 players who have ever even played Major League Baseball. And that counts like Drew Maggi, who came up, and played in 2 games or whatever. It's every player who's even played a day in Major League Baseball. There's just over 20,000 of them, and 3 of them are in the same family.
Yeah. Yep.
In this 5-year span of time. It's insane.
Yeah.
Anyway, BoNaylor is one to watch. He is going to be the starting and primary catcher for the Guardians in 2024, and they are very high on him, very excited about him. He's obviously done more than enough to finally earn the starting job on opening day, and now he's just looking to prove that he can be a true impact player, which the Guardians truly believe that he's going to become. I found an interview here with the president of baseball ops for the Guardians, Chris Antonetti, who is quoted saying, "I think that was one of the highlights of our 2023 season is the way that Bo transitioned to the major leagues and the year he ended up having. He didn't have the results immediately, but I think what we were able to see is he was able to learn from those experiences. And by the end of the year, he put together a really, really good year and was one of the most productive catchers in all of baseball from July 1st on." And that's why I'm excited to watch him now, because the Guardians, again, are kind of another one of those teams that, unless you're following them specifically, or even if you're an American League fan and your team plays them a little more frequently, those guys might be on your radar. But BoNaylor was just not on my radar at all. And I was super excited as soon as I started learning about him. So keep an eye out. Guardians in 2024.
Yep, for sure. So fun fact, the Astros dynamic rookie catcher we got from the Cleveland Guardians.
Oh yeah.
In a trade for our then center fielder Miles Straw. So they got Miles Straw and we got Phil Maton and Yainer Diaz. And they basically were like, yeah, fine, you can have Yainer, because they were so high on Bo. They were like, yeah, okay, yeah, we got Bo. We don't need Yainer.
Okay.
And we're like, hey, thank you, we appreciate you.
Yeah, seriously. Well, if you're overdeveloping catchers, great, send one over. Well, I think it's cool too, because Stephen Vogt, who is the new manager of the Guardians, is a catcher as well. And I just think with like the resources that he will have available to him, it's going to be really cool to watch him just take off now.
Yeah, I'm super interested in that team. And then, like, side note, like other tiny, I guess, note of the Cleveland Guardians, our beloved MichaelBrantley, Dr. Smooth, Uncle Mike, that came up with the Indians now Guardians organization, just retired. And like so if you're not familiar, if you're new around here, I became a baseball fan in 2018. 2019 is when MichaelBrantley came over to the team. So he is like my first guy to retire actually, like, from the game.
Yeah.
I legit teared up when it came across like my Twitter feed that MichaelBrantley like actually retired. I'm all, oh, what? And it wasn't like a surprise, because he had been battling health issues this last season and all that fun stuff. And so it didn't come as like a super shock to any of us, but it still kind of hit me in the feels. I was like, oh my God, MichaelBrantley. And so, yeah, it was interesting to go and watch highlights of MichaelBrantley's career in not an Astros uniform, and the fact that all of these people came from the Guardians like organization that I wasn't really aware of, like Francisco Lindor. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And so just all of these like ex Indians / Guardians players, instead of working, I, just watched 5-minute highlights of like Michael Brantley's career and just all of the people that came from there, and like Terry Francona just being the most ridiculous, super awesome manager. You're like, oh my gosh. So Guardians.
Yeah. Yeah. They've got the on the field part figured out for sure. And the way that they're running things up top is maybe what has not set them up, for long-term success, but it is really cool to see what they're able to do year over year. And Michael Brantley, I mean, good for him. He has young kids, and that was ultimately, I think, a big factor of him deciding to retire. We always love to see when they're able to kind of take that power back and go out on their own terms. So, yeah, congrats to him.
Yeah, I'm like, and that wasn't on our sheet, and that's my bad.
Yes, no, that's my fault. I totally forgot to put it on. I just hit my mic too. Sorry. Watch out, everybody.
All right, we're fired up about it.
Oh, but also before we move on, because we were talking about this, I did fact check us, and there's actually, it seemed like it was a drastic cut in draft picks. It was, but there used to be 40 rounds. Now there's 20. So there's 20 rounds. I think they only televised the first 12.
Okay.
So that's where I was
like, I knew there's the number 12 somewhere.
Kind of lost, but there's 614 players that end up getting drafted. So. Okay. So he would have still, JackSuwinski would have still been drafted, but very much towards the end, like holding his breath.
Yeah.
Hoping for it.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. Thank you for letting me know about that. I appreciate that.
I am a Google connoisseur. What can I say?
Yeah. So, like I said, we want to start the show off on a high note and tell you about all the good things. But unfortunately, we have to tell you about the trash bags, and apparently that's what we're going to call this next segment, the trash bag segment, because apparently there's some goings-ons about things. TrevorBauer is going on an apology tour, I guess. I don't know. I don't like him. I don't want him on my team. I don't want him on anybody's team.
No. It's interesting, right? Because for the first time, we're actually hearing him pretend. I shouldn't even say that. I mean, he is supposedly taking accountability, but like in the most least way possible. Yeah. He's like, I guess I made some things difficult for some people and I should maybe try to do better. When before he's just like, I'm the victim. I'm the best ever and no one appreciates me and I just keep getting attacked. Gee, man, we hear things like that from a lot of other places and it's not great.
Right.
But Suzy and I both agreed that we have a hard time giving him airtime and we don't want to get too far into it because there is it's not a point of conversation or debate. It's just kind of he's out there. He's trying to change the narrative. He's given it one last shot because no one is interested and no one is going to touch him with a 10-foot pole. And we appreciate that about Major League Baseball and the fact that they're holding a certain standard. And he's going to keep popping up in our Twitter feeds. And I am going to keep muting him because I just don't need to hear about it. And I think as soon as the season starts here, we will not hear about him. And I'll be happy about that.
Yeah. So if that is something that you are interested in or want to know about, please do your own research about that. We just, no, thank you. That's not what we want to do here. And so unfortunately, other news, shortstop for the Rays, the literal only player that the Rays have ever given big money to, apparently is a trash bag of a human being, and more details have come out about his quote unquote inappropriate relations, and I put that in air quotes because it's just trigger warning. I guess I should probably put the trigger warning on this before I say any of the allegations. And it has been reported that he at the time had kidnapped and held against her will a 14-year-old child. I mean, say what you will about age and all of that, that is a child, that she's a child and 14 years old, and basically raped her for 2 days and then paid her mother in order to continue seeing her and having a relationship with said.
Yeah, it's like as if that
girl.
is the way that you receive permission.
Yeah.
Like it's somehow okay.
Mm-hmm. And then apparently WanderFranco's mother apparently paid the girl's mother. And let's just call it a spade. You basically prostituted your daughter is what's happening right now. So the mom is a trash bag. WanderFranco, you should just not be a baseball player any longer. And
Anymore.
the fact that the judge on this case is allowing WanderFranco to come back to the United States on the condition that he goes back to the Dominican every month to check in. Why? I don't even understand what the
really
fuck is going on
unnecessary.
here.
I don't know. He's definitely going to continue to be on administrative leave, at least for the time being, until he is, likely convicted of something, I would assume. But even then, even if he's not, similarly to the Bauer situation, you will not see him back in Major League Baseball. When stuff like this, when it's that you're that close to something like that, again, the conviction is the formality at that point. And I think that's the thing that some people don't understand is like, maybe dig into the legal system and see how those things work.
Yeah.
If you want to use that to back up any kind of argument against it. But again, yeah, we're not here for any kind of defense of that kind of being anywhere near that kind of behavior, let alone as close and as convoluted as it's gotten. So we're covering it because to not cover it and to not talk about it is to ignore it. And that's not helpful either. But these are not the kind of men that we want put on a platform of any kind. And yeah, unfortunately, it's just come out to be even more horrific than I think we could have possibly imagined in this WanderFranco case.
Yeah. I have a hard time being okay with people trying to defend him and saying, oh, well, it's not like he's that much older and he's stop, just full stop, just full stop. Just to let you know, like if that is something that you are saying and whatnot, and I shouldn't judge, and that makes me, I guess, a bad person, whatever. I'm going to judge you. I'm going to massively judge you as just a bad human being. Because at no point in time should you look at this situation and be like, oh yeah, sure, nah, that's okay. It's not.
Yeah. There's no circumstances that make it okay. And I will say, actually, when this first came out, because it was over the summer, it was like August, right? Maybe July or August. And when I first heard about it, like a friend texted me about it and was like, oh my gosh, have you heard about this? And she sent me like a screenshot that had like the picture of the girl who very much does not look 14 in the picture anyway. Correct. And my first thought was like, literally my first thought was, wow, I hope he wasn't misled, like how difficult that could be for these guys. And that is absolutely something that happens. Like 100%, every freaking hotel that they go to, every place, their salary is public information. Yes, there will always be people out there that are looking to exploit anyone in a position of power with money. But that is their responsibility that they take on the second that they walk into this life, or any of us. Like it doesn't make any of it okay. It doesn't justify any of it. People are always going to be after money one way or another. It doesn't make it okay. It doesn't make it okay to beat someone up because they asked you to beat them up. It's still wrong. It's still illegal. It's still assault. Anyway, that's kind of where I stand is I'm not by any means saying like my initial, you get one headline and you're like, wow, trash bag. It's like, these are hard facts and considered all. And
if by some chance or whatnot that he was misled at the start, and she presented herself of age, and then afterwards told him, oh yeah, just kidding, I'm 14. At that point in time, you oh my god, okay, and then you stop said relationship or what.
There are ways to handle that as well that would put him in this situation.
But the fact that the literal quote says, my girl, if my team realizes this, it could cause problems for me, it is a rule in all teams not to talk to minors, and nevertheless, I took the risk and I loved it. Okay, like, first off, there's lots to unpack in that whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, what? Why is it a rule that you shouldn't talk to my... Side note, it's a fucking law, guys. Like,
oh, it's a rule? No.
It's an actual fucking law.
Law. Here and in the Dominican Republic, by the way. Not different.
Okay. But the fact that he knew, and then loved it. Like, stop it.
Yeah, so there's all these written forms of communication from like the WhatsApp app of where there's definitely forms of
that's
evidence,
where these
hard evidence.
We're getting these screenshots and actual quotes that are coming out, and then he literally says that he should raise her.
Oh yeah, that was creepy as shit. That all of that stuff was so...
Okay, I'll read you the extract. Franco recognizes that the young woman is just a girl. He even asks her to let herself be raised by him in her own way. Where when she is there, she demands him. I would like you to forget everything you have learned to raise yourself my way. Excerpt from WanderFranco's conversation with the minor. In the conversation, he confesses that he loves her and he was willing to give her one last chance, but he demanded exclusivity for the minor, who was supposedly in another relationship. The young woman asked him how he would raise her, without love, without respect, to which the athlete responded, there was more to it, but you're just a girl and you don't know how to get along with me. That's why you failed. But I give you one chance. You should be just for me. Don't look at anyone else. I know you've been with someone else, but no one will know how to use you the way I want and give you.
Grooming 101. Disgusting.
So,
like, I'm literally queasy listening to you read that.
If for some reason you didn't know any of those facts, maybe now you do.
Yeah.
And if you still defend him, I can't. Just no.
We were talking about that too, that sometimes there is like misunderstanding based on which information you're taking in based on some of these things. So, and my only advice with that would just be really careful about what you say and what public opinion you formulate. Like, it's fine to think things on your own, obviously have conversations with people around you, but before you put stuff out online about your perception of these things or defending these guys, like, really think about it and make sure you have all the information. And if you still feel that way, like, maybe still don't put it out there publicly. It would just be my personal opinion. But because there is a lot of misleading information and things can be framed in a lot of different ways to make your perception of it different. That is the purpose of media in a lot of ways. But yeah, just be careful about what you're consuming and how you're formulating your opinion.
Absolutely. Yes.
Huh, all right. Before I barf, well, this is going to make me barf too, but like in a much less serious, like more comical way. So, let's move on to the hot stove, shall we?
Yes. Palate cleanser. Let's go.
Not be my ideal palate cleanser, but Steve Cohen, he's always cooking up something. And it's usually not something that I particularly have a taste for. And this is one of those examples. The Mets signed HarrisonBader, my hey bay, to a 1-year, $10.5 million deal. And what's even more gross about this is, I don't know how you feel about Pete Alonso, Suzy, but HarrisonBader is former teammates with Pete Alonso at the University of Florida. And they're like back together again, ready to ruin the baseball season for me. So what's your take on this?
So for the longest time, when HarrisonBader went over to the Yankees, we all know my personal feelings about the Yankees. He had a mouth guard That was like his thing. Like I don't know if it was his thing when he was a Cardinal. Was it a thing? No, okay. So when he was a Yankee, apparently he had like a hitting coach or something that was like, you were super tense, and that's why you're not swinging as well. And he had this mouth guard, and legitimately every motherfucking time he came up to bat as a Yankee, he was chewing on this mouth guard. And I swear to God, this is why God made me an SML person, because I wanted to literally punch him in the fucking face and like knock his mouth guard out of his fucking mouth every fucking time.
We're not promoting violence, but
okay.
Yeah, he did have a punchable face with that mouth guard.
He had a much more punchable face with the short hair. God, Yankees, come on to hell. Like, what are we doing with this?
Do you think he's gonna grow his hair back out now that he's on the Mets?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like it will give him much less of a fuckboy vibe.
Totally. But I also agree with you that like he's always kind of had that vibe, and it's like borderline for me of him being more on that, like, I don't know, it's almost kind of the same as Juan Soto, where like it does annoy me, but at the same time I'm like, but you're really fun to watch.
Yeah.
And he's not someone that I ever think like I would actually get along with in real life. Like, absolutely not. But he's really fun to watch. And he does seem like genuinely like a good teammate. Yeah. So I think that's why it bothers me less too.
And again, I'm not saying that HarrisonBader is an actual fuckboy. That's definitely not what I'm saying. He just gives off that vibe. Like he just gives off that vibe. And if you've ever watched him play, you understand what I'm talking about.
You get it.
But him and that mouth guard. Oh,
the mouth guard is called the Airwave. I looked it up because I was like so curious about it, and I'm very into like fitness and functional movement and all of that stuff. And I very much believe that like breathing and the way, I mean, every little thing, because even as a singer and an actor, like your body is your product, and like little tiny adjustments and things can make a huge difference, especially at an elite level. So I'm super interested in it. I've actually considered like trying to get someone from the company on my podcast to interview. So stay tuned. Maybe I'll do that, because I just thought it was like so interesting. But yes, I agree that it was like as a viewer, it was distracting and it got very annoying to watch. But hey, it's working for him.
And it did. It worked. Like he was an Astro killer.
Yeah.
He was an Astro killer in 21, 22, 21.
20, the 22 postseason.
22, okay.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure he was the only guy that could fucking hit on that team against us. And I was like, that fucking mouth guard, because it apparently like it relaxed him and it reminded him to not tense up or something like that, and so he was more free at the plate. But yeah, I mean, good for him for getting this pillow deal. And you know, like he bounced around a little bit after. I want to say he was with the Reds last season as well.
He was claimed off waivers by the Reds, and then I don't, because he didn't really hit last season the way that he did in 2022 in the postseason, especially for the Yankees. And he's not a power hitter. That's where like I feel bad comparing JackSuwinski to him, because he's just not. But he is scrappy. And the thing that I've always loved about having him, like I loved having him on our team as the Cardinals, is because he is a really scrappy player. Like even if he is struggling at the plate, like he will steal a base. He'll figure out how to make a game-saving catch. But by the same token, he plays with such reckless abandon in the outfield that he's also going to be on the injured list a little bit more than you'd like him to be too. So that's been another huge part of the last couple seasons for him. I mean, he was on the IL with plantar fasciitis when he got, the IL. Did I call it the right thing? When he was traded for Jordan Montgomery. And that's why it came as such a shock to us when that happened. But yeah, he's struggled with everything from plantar fasciitis, which can be something that's super difficult to fully come back from and very painful and difficult to work through, to obliques, to hamstrings, to groin strains. But it's because he's throwing himself around out there. And I think maybe I've talked about this. I'm not sure if it's here or on Babes before, but he does have that build too that is obviously Giancarlo Stanton is like twice the size of him in terms of height, but they have a similar like body structure and build, even as Tyler O'Neill, to where like I think he has the build that is more prone to certain types of injuries as well. So even though he's going to be with the Mets, still love you, Hey Bay. I hope you can stay healthy and
grow out your hair.
Grow out your hair, man. Live your life.
Grow out your hair. Get some facial hair. Do it all. Do it all. I'll be looking forward to that. Not gonna lie. Looking forward to that. But they also, breaking kind of news, I guess. It's the best sound ever. SeanManea. They signed SeanManea for 2 years, $28 million, with an opt-out after the first year. So he had kind of bounced around in the Giants rotation as a starter and then kind of as the long man. But he ended his Giants tenure with a 4.44 ERA. So he kind of hopefully has a bounce back year. Fingers crossed. Side note, I was listening to a podcast about the Oakland A's. And that 2019 Oakland A's team, do you remember that 2019 Oakland A's team and like how fucking stacked it was?
Yeah.
SeanManea was on that. Frankie Montas was on that. The two Matts, Matty O, Matt Olson, and
Semien,
Matt Chapman, Marcus Semien. Liam Hendricks was on. I was like,
oh yeah,
totally forgot about that team. I'm like, you look at that team and you're like, how the fuck how? And apparently they offered, I can't remember if it's Matt Chapman or Matt Olson. It was one of the Matts. They offered one of the Matts like a 7-year, $75 million contract or something like that. Like kind of, oh no, I'm sorry, $100 million.
Yeah, they also did something similar with Marcus Semien.
But apparently that contract with Marcus Semien, it was like deferred money, but it was like,
oh yeah, it was
going to pay him like
yeah,
but like $1 million for like literally the rest of his life.
Yeah.
And so the podcast I was listening to was saying something about if whichever man it was, and like Marcus Semien had signed those contracts, would the athletics trajectory be any different? And the guy that they were interviewing was like, honestly, I think all of the players saw the writing on the wall, and it would not have changed. And they were like, what are we doing here? No. But yeah, tiny side note about that. I'm so sorry.
I mean, it's just such a good example of how the organization, and again, it has to work from the top down. Like it really is so impactful, because you can have players like what you just listed, where you can put all the best guys together and it still not be enough.
Yeah. So, but yeah, 2 years, $28 million. And, and he's still relatively young. So hopefully he can have a bounce back, because he's never really been that kind of ace pitcher that he was when he was with the A's.
Right.
So, I don't know if that was.
He was a lot more productive, I think, out of the bullpen for the Giants. I think I was reading that like his ERA in his first like 7 or 8 starts was like over 7, like closer to 8. But then the second half of this year, maybe in the last couple months of the season, when he was primarily coming out of the bullpen, but having some longer stints out of the bullpen, his ERA was like 2.27.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So who knows? He kind of reminds me of a Steven Matz a little bit.
Oh yeah,
Cardinals, like having similar sorts of struggles with a similar level of potential. So yeah, let's see what he can do with the Mets. I am oddly rooting far less against the Mets now that there's the Dodgers to root against. So,
we're gonna talk about this in a, I don't know, at some point in time, but at some point in time, are the Dodgers going to take over that mantle of like quote unquote like most hated MLB team from the Astros?
Ooh, yeah.
Is that going to happen, or is it, or are they it's just all in the same vein of like most hated?
We'll see.
Think about that. We're gonna chew on that. So yeah. Anyways, so Mets are making moves. Mets are adding things. And going staying in the same vein of the Giants, the Mariners trade their left-handed once Cy Young pitcher RobbieRay to the Giants for outfielders Mitch Haniger and right-handed pitcher Anthony DeSclafani and cash. So Mitch Haniger gets to go home, and he was literally the most productive when he was with the Mariners. He did not do jack with the Giants. Is RobbieRay there? Is RobbieRay like the Giants' big fish? I mean, we've talked about on previous episodes on how nobody wants to go.
Yeah, I mean, I still think they're probably actively pursuing one of the more exciting free agents out there. Marcus Stroman, go get him, Giants. He's waiting there for you. And I think especially, I mean, I know they've got another lefty in RobbieRay, and he's not going to come back till mid-season, but I still think Marcus Stroman could be a good fit for the Giants. But yeah, I mean, he could be really big for them in the second half of the season, especially.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. RobbieRay is the absolute present of wearing the schmedium pants. Like those baseball pants are painted onto him because I think he wins. I think he wins the title from Spencer Strider.
Yeah.
But Astros fans will have a very, very fond memory of RobbieRay because he literally gave up the home run that literally turned the world upside down. So we as Astros fans love RobbieRay. Not so much Mariners fans.
Yeah, Mariners fans not huge fans. He pitched less than 200 innings with Seattle after signing a 5-year, $115 million deal. Before then, he had to have Tommy John surgery, which is, it's interesting to me because at this point, like, I mean, we saw it even in the nuances of Yamamoto's contract that, like, at this point, they have to be planning for these guys to have Tommy John at least once.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're signing a guy who I don't know how old he was when he had Tommy John, but at that point he was over 25, you know, we're like, we haven't had Tommy John yet. It's pretty much writing is on the wall these days for Major League, especially starters, that's going to be something that happens at some point. Maybe there could have been a little more foresight there, but not, you know, completely out of character for the Mariners to not make the best call with something like that. But yeah, he takes his big deal over now to the Giants, where hopefully he'll be able to actually give them back some of that value a little bit more. Return around the middle of the 2024 season is his trajectory there.
Yeah, and Mariners are actively shedding payroll.
Oh yeah,
actively shedding payroll. So I am trying to get one of the multitudes of Mariners podcasts peoples. There are like 43 Mariners podcasts just out there. So I'm trying to get a Mariners person that is obviously a little bit more plugged into all of the Mariners news on the show at some point. So if that happens, we will let y'all know. But they so they're either cooking something really big or not, or they're just getting rid of payroll just to get rid of payroll. So we'll see what happens because they're making moves, but they kind of seem like lateral moves, but maybe not really, because they also traded their one of their infielders, Jose Caballero, to the Rays for one of the Rays, I would say star outfielders, but he pretty much made himself like a household name this season in LukeRaley, who plays the outfield and a little bit of first base. But Astros fans, you guys will remember Jose Caballero as literally like the rookie that basically stepped to like Martin Maldonado and Fromber. Like, I remember watching a Mariners game and looking at Jose Caballero being like, isn't he a rookie? Like, what's happening right now? Is he not saying that, you know, as a rookie, you need to put your head down and, you know, like not have any sort of personality or anything like that. But like, he started jawing back at some of the veterans, and you're all, sir, do you not know your place?
Also,
what's
like, who do you think you are, Ellie De La Cruz? Because he's not, by the way.
But just
That's interesting.
he plays with a little bit of fire. Plays with a little bit of fire. So it'll be interesting to see what he does also, because he will probably be the Rays shortstop in 2024, because obviously they no longer have a shortstop, and because
he is a really stellar defender.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So but yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he does with like Jose Siri over there for the Rays as well. Shut up, Siri. my phone went off. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays. I guess I want to say that they have another in the Rays system. I want to say they have another young AAA guy that is maybe on the move. I don't know. You talk about LukeRaley. I'm going to look this up real quick.
Okay. Yeah, Rayleigh is someone who might be a little bit more of a household name because he had a breakout year offensively. He hit 19 home runs with a 126 plus OPS. And most likely, I mean, he could even earn an everyday starting job in the outfield, considering his offensive numbers and depending on how he will fit into that lineup ultimately, but could also see him being platooned with Haniger for the Mariners starting outfield because there is quite a big difference there for both of them in their platoon advantage, meaning that they hit right-handed and left-handed pitchers better respectively. So yeah, he will definitely be one of their every other day, if not everyday guys.
Okay. Yeah. I thought that was going to be a thing. Okay. So yeah, Junior Caminero is the guy that I was thinking about in the Ray system, that he is in their AAA system right now. And he plays third base and shortstop.
Okay.
So I'm thinking that they signed JoseCaballero to kind of be that stopgap until Junior Caminero is ready to basically take on that mantle. So I was like, wait, isn't that one guy the shortstop? So yeah. So Junior Caminero, just remember kind of that name as well. So
it's interesting with those middle infielders because you can get away with a lot more of what they're lacking at the plate because of what they make up for in defense. And that's just, to some extent, the expectation of the position. So it's a good opportunity for him to see if he can figure some stuff out at the plate to stay at the big league level. But in those positions specifically, I think I really love watching great defense. So it's frustrating for me to see these types of guys who the Blue Jays had another guy in their system like this who came up. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but they have they come up, they get these opportunities to like play at second base or shortstop because they are elite defenders. But if they can't figure it out quickly enough at the plate, they don't hang. And that just, again, goes back to that number. They're still part of that number of just 20,000 guys that played in Major League Baseball for one day. But that's how highly competitive it is.
Are you talking about Davis Schneider?
No, I'm talking about this guy. He came up at the very end of the season for the Blue Jays. Mason is his first name. What is his last name?
I was like, Mason Wynn? No, that's not right.
But I mean, he's another Mason McCoy with the Blue Jays.
Okay.
Yeah, and once they because they DFA'd Paul DeYoung, and then Bo Bichette, I think, was hurt again.
Yeah.
And Mason McCoy, I think, is like 27 or 28. Like he's not, and he's been in AAA for a while, and he's just an absolutely elite defender, but never figured it out at the plate to the point where they keep him in the system, and he's got a certain level of talent, but not on both sides of the ball. And that's just one of the more recent people I can think of. And Mason Wynn is another good example of that, where like the expectation for him, he certainly is, hopefully going to figure it out at the plate.
Right.
And we saw shades of that towards the end of the 2023 season, a little bit more than a guy like Mason McCoy, but there's a different level of expectation for what you're going to get out of those types of players than, Jordan Walker in the outfield. And he's like the opposite, right? We're going to teach him how to play the outfield, and we're going to, give up a couple more runs here and there for his learning curve because of what he can do at the plate. So,
yep, for sure. So, but yeah, the Rays pitching farm. We all know that the Rays just pump out pitchers. So the Rays trade right-handed pitcher Andrew Kittredge to the Cardinals for outfielder Richie Palacios. Palacios? Is that how you say it? Palacios?
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you tell us about Richie Palacios?
Well, Richie is just a guy that makes me smile. Okay. Richie got Adam Wainwright win 299. He had a couple like really stellar games where he hit. I mean, he's not a power hitter. He's a pretty little guy. He is very versatile in the outfield. He could play different outfield positions, but again, he's not an elite outfielder necessarily. He's a really solid fourth outfielder, especially in the case of the Cardinals, where a lot of people were hurt at the end of the season. With a different, or here's the thing, with a different organization, he does stand a better shot of a chance to break out. So for that reason, I'm happy. But like his energy is just infectious. He has the best smile. He has like star energy that you just want. You want all the good things for him. His brother, Josh Palacios, is in the Pittsburgh Pirates organization.
Okay.
And they both played really well against each other. And it was really fun to follow their like family story. And then
did the mom have like the half jersey?
Yes. Yeah. And I think his dad was like switching out. Actually, no, his mom, this is what his mom would do. She would wear, when the Pirates were batting, she would wear the Pirates jersey and the Cardinals hat. And then she would switch. She had a Cardinals jersey and a Pirates hat. She would literally switch every half inning.
I love it. That's dedication, man. That's dedication. I love that.
Yeah. And it seems like they have like a really fun rapport, like smack talk, amongst their family. They've done some really fun interviews together. The Palacios brothers.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
So Andrew Kittredge is white. He's middle-aged. No, he's 34. Fits right in. He's got a good beard. Bring him over. Shove him in that pen. In St. Louis. We won't even notice there's a new guy.
Vibes and Bengay, man. Vibes and Bengay. And they boil their chicken.
Absolutely. I don't know, man. I mean, like, listen, he has a certain skill set. He was an all-star in 2021, but like he's a Rays pitcher. That's why he was an all-star in 2021. Like that happens sometimes. Yep. Somebody on the Rays had to be an all-star in 2021. You know what I'm saying? And overall, he has a 3.65 ERA and 101 major league appearances. He has always been a reliever. So do I think that like he has some proven value? Of course. Do I think...
Do the Cardinals need like a middle reliever?
I mean, they could, especially if they don't. I think we all at this point still want them to get another starter so that like Steven Matz could be that middle reliever. But that is, not
like who is white and middle-aged and
ultimately I just don't think that it's that it's not an impact move, I think, for either team necessarily. It's probably a fair, even exchange. But of course, as Cardinals fans, we're all looking back on Randy Arozarena, thinking about the last time we traded an outfielder to the Rays. And I think that's where the PTSD sets in. So Richie Palacios, the next up and coming outfield star for the Rays, is actually the announcement that we're making here today.
Okay, good.
I actually forgot to add this on here, but former Cardinals pitcher Dakota Hudson also signed a 1-year deal with the Colorado Rockies, as well as the former Marlins catcher Jacob Stallings. So they're both on 1-year deals. I'm not sure if money has come out for those yet, but really interesting, at least on the Dakota Hudson front, as he is a pitch to contact pitcher. And Coors Field is not where I saw him ending up, but he did get a major league deal, which is great for him. So whatever the Rockies organization has planned for him and whatever they see potential wise in him.
Is he a ground ball pitcher?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well,
that's true.
That is,
he's one of those guys that like can pitch 8 innings with no strikeouts.
Oh. So honestly, though, that may be an actual really good move for the Rockies then,
You're
because
right. It could
they
be
say
really
that
interesting.
the ground ball pitchers, like the pitch contact guys, have a better chance at cores. Like Lucas Giolito needs to stay far, far away from the Rockies org. Like
Yeah,
fly ball
that's true.
pitchers,
He's
not so good.
one where like his BABIP is so interesting because
Mm,
you're like, wait, how how are there no runs in this game so far? But it always ends up, it plays out over the season, the way
yeah,
that it shows up on paper there. So I don't know. I'm very interested to watch him with the Rockies because I do think that there is a potential upside that like we're not seeing,
right.
on the surface level there. And then Jacob Stallings is an amazing defensive catcher. He has struggled to stay consistent at all offensively, which I think is why he's not found himself on a bigger, longer deal. But
Mhm.
he's a Gold Glover, and I've always enjoyed watching him too. So, okay, Rockies gave me a reason to tune in.
All right. Well, and to watch Brenton Doyle. So
There you go.
who was our first 40-man find.
First 40-man find.
Side note, I was watching one of those Marlins because he was on the Marlins last season.
Mhm.
Side note. So he was on the Marlins last season. I was watching one of those Marlins games, and he had hit a ball into the gap or something, and something that was like it would have been a double, I think, for like anybody else. Unfortunately, it was only a single.
He's a really big guy, meaning like tall guy, which for
Yeah.
especially you think, and he's squatting down that whole time. Oh my gosh. I don't know how he even walks, let alone runs.
Yeah.
So
So I want to say like the first base coach was like, run, like run. Just, get into gear.
on days over there, like, can I run for you, bro? Oh,
I felt bad, but yeah, it was all in good fun because he's not fleet of foot. So, but yeah. So
I think he is the tallest catcher in the league.
is he like
Maybe
6'7" or
probably
something
not
down
ever,
like that?
but he is super tall.
Now I need to
I'm
look that up.
very confused by that. How
Like
tall?
now I need to look up how tall Jacob Stallings is. These are the stats that you come to the podcast to find.
Right.
How tall Jacob Stallings is. 6'5".
Yeah, I mean for a catcher,
Yeah. That's a lot of weight on those knees, man. I say weight, but like
he just has really long legs,
yeah.
and as someone like that is how both my husband and I are built that way. We have like very long. We're not like particularly tall people, but we kind of look like we are because we have really long legs and short torsos, and that's how he is. And like I know how that feels on my legs.
Sure, like no, don't like that. So
It's
yeah,
again, certain body types are just more privy to and have, different challenges and different strengths. And his body type is shocking to me that he is as successful as he is as a catcher. So
yeah.
and he's
So
34 like me, so I know he's starting to feel it.
from a guy that is very tall to a guy that is not so tall. Not so tall at all. So Padres assigned Wusako for 2 years, $4.5 million as a relief pitcher from the KBO. He is the brother-in-law of Jung-Hoo Lee.
Yeah,
that's signed with the Giants. So sisters will be very excited about that they can be close-ish together, Kelly. And I think for the Padres, it'll be interesting to see how that, I guess, relationship, I want to say, fandom, will happen since they already have Ha-Sung Kim.
Yeah.
And now they have a second Korean baseball player. So I'm like, Dodgers are like, cool, we'll corner the Japanese market. And Padres like, we'll corner the Korean market. We're good.
Yeah.
So.
I'm actually having a lot more fun watching the Padres and the Mets this offseason, that they're having to be strategic in the way that they just weren't last. See, that's what I hated about, and like I was not rooting for them going into last season, it was literally just like, we have the insane amounts of money to throw around. And so for that reason, we're not going to be strategic with it. And that's why it was like not as exciting for me and just like annoying, kind of honestly, in the way that the Dodgers are now doing the same thing. And organizationally, the Dodgers are very different. So I feel like I can give them less shit overall for that. Whereas like the Padres and the Mets have not proven themselves to be able to build really from anything of any form of cohesion over there. But But yeah, it's way more interesting. And like as a fan, I'm more excited to watch the Padres and the Mets from how they're having to be more strategic with their puzzle pieces and get these guys like SeanManea and HarrisonBader and Woo-Suk-Go to, I mean, they're having to completely rebuild the back end of their bullpen. And with guys who they're going to have to pay a lot less to, and that doesn't mean that it's going to be less successful. So that's what I think will be fun to watch play out.
Yeah. Do you think that while he pitches, the crowd will also chant his name? Like they chant Ha-Seong Kim's name?
Maybe. They totally would. It's the same syllables, same kind of thing. That would be really fun.
Padres fans, let me know. Let me know if that's in the works.
Yeah, are we doing that? Because I would do that.
I would do that. So he had a 3.18 ERA over 7 seasons with 401 strikeouts, 139 saves, over 368 and a third innings. So, they are signing some foreign pitchers that, they signed Matsui a couple weeks ago. So once it gets closer to actual spring training and like pitchers and catchers reporting and whatnot, we will do an episode where we kind of go over everybody's maybe starting lineups, just so that we all have a little refresher on kind of like who's where, because I know that there's lots of kind of turnover. So, we're still on the lookout for some big free agent signings: Jordan Montgomery, Blake Snell,
Cody Bellinger,
Stroh. So we'll, and obviously there's lots of other names that, relievers and whatnot that are in there, and there's been some minor league signings for guys as well. But once that gets closer to, like I said, pitchers and catchers reporting, we will do an episode, for y'all, so you can we'll make a spreadsheet maybe.
Oh yeah, we're gonna need one.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that we talked about the Braves and Anthopoulos Island and what Alex Anthopoulos is cooking on his murder board. But it's basically come out that essentially the Red Sox are basically paying the Braves to take Chris Sale off their hands.
Yeah, I don't get this. I'm not gonna lie. This is where the red lines have crossed too much on the board for me. This one doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because I thought it made sense. The initial trade made sense. Chris Sale is relatively expendable in the sense of like, if he isn't good, if he's not good in the clubhouse, even like, easy to cut loose. But this was not kind of unexpected.
I think they are banking on the high upside of Chris Sale, and he has the stuff to be that ace when needed in a big game, in a championship series. And I think that's what they're hoping. They're like, you know what, we've got enough pitching that we can get through the actual 162.
Yeah.
So if we need to, quote unquote, put Chris Sale, like on the Phantom IL for a little bit and, save the bullets, quote unquote.
Yeah, that is very true.
That may be, and Chris Sale came out that apparently he felt bad essentially for his performance in Boston. Like, he's been a Boston guy like through and through, and he basically had to waive his no trade clause for this
to be
trade
like
to even happen.
Take one for the team. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so he basically, I guess, went to the Red Sox and was like, look, I realize that, that it's a lot of money, and if me doing this will get back a piece that can help build the Red Sox back up, then let's do it. And so now he no longer has that kind of mantle of being, like the ace for the Red Sox. And he's just kind of, I don't want to say just a guy on the Braves, but he doesn't have to be that ace.
You are right. So,
maybe we pack him in some bubble wrap and don't let him get on a bicycle, and well, hopefully he can stay healthy. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, he'll make 18. Well, he'll make 16 million in 2024, and they got, to your point, 17 million from the Red Sox in the trade. So they are essentially not paying for him at all. And then he will make 22 million in 2025. The deal, while it is 2 years, 38 million in total, it also includes an $18 million club option for 2026.
Yeah. So
maybe it is just like
I think maybe the Braves have figured out some sort of, along with Anthopoulos Island that they have. I want to say maybe on Alex Anthopoulos Island they have some sort of like youth serum, some sort of something that maybe they have, because they also have, you know, like 40-year-old Uncle Charlie,
like
Charlie Morton
camp.
Just you know, that turn, I guess I say turn it around. I mean, he was pretty good for the Astros, but he has continued to be good for the Braves. So I don't know if maybe they have found some sort of something, and I say tongue in cheek, fountain of youth, but maybe they have found out, you know, like a workout routine, or you know, we always hear about what you put in your body, what you eat will also help. So maybe there's some sort of like special diet along with like a workout that maybe they have the old, quote unquote, old guys on, that will help the longevity of them. I don't know. Hopefully,
that's true. Maybe. It is really interesting to see how certain organizations feel more comfortable investing in certain things over others. And yeah, it doesn't, I guess, while I look at this and I'm like, this is a guy who like, and attitude wise, like I mentioned, not being the biggest fan of him either, just because it seems like he has quite the temper. He's not been the best teammate historically. So yeah, for me, I'm just like surprised. It made sense for them to just have him kind of as that extra piece in their back pocket, but to invest in him further is weird. But to your point, Anthopoulos has always got something up his sleeve, and we shall see how it works out.
Yeah. And so, you know, and Vaughn Grissom going to the Red Sox, and I think that Vaughn Grissom will be the Red Sox opening day second baseman. I think the bat is very, very high for him. Defense, not so much, but you know, when you've had negative defensive runs saved from that second base, because there's no way in hell that they're going to be like, okay, Luis Urias, the job is yours. Like that, I don't, that's going to be a thing. So at this point, I think, you know, having a 0 wins above replacement like player there is obviously better than negative. So I think I think they're banking on the bat. Trevor Story being over there, I think will help.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So, well, we shall see. We shall see what the Red Sox are cooking. Red Sox fans are just not happy. No, it's not a happy organization.
Yeah.
Fans not happy with that. So, but you know, on their side, they're, you know, thrilled that they're getting Vaughn Grissom, and thrilled. Like, I don't think anybody is mad about Chris Sale leaving. Like, they're just like, thank God we got this guy like off of the payroll. Like, not saying that they didn't like him, but they just knew that he
that's
was kind
how
of
I would feel. As I mean, like, even I know Tyler O'Neill is nowhere near like the caliber, or you know, at one point had the level in his career that like Chris Sale did, but I compare that only in the sense that like he is someone who I still think has a huge upside, and I would like, in theory, like to have him play for my team, but I also know that like there is just not a path to success for him there. And same thing with Chris Sale. It's like, it's just time to move on. Yeah. So while it might be a hard pill to swallow, it's the right one. And yeah, overall, I would assume that Red Sox fans feel that way, that it's just kind of time to turn the page. And I think there's a lot of teams, fan bases right now, who are frustrated. Not that the teams, I mean, the Cubs fans are going insane because the Cubs have not done anything. I am just like, chill out, because they're going to do things. It's just not happening fast enough. And you know, that's Scott Boris's fault. Like, at least I think it is. So whatever, just wait it out for Boris. Like, things will happen for the Cubs, whatever.
Well, they needed to get their like coaching situation, their front office kind of set. You know, they got Jason Kinsler from the Astros as their new player development guy over there. So
Yeah, they've got some really good stuff in place on that side of things. They have the money to spend. I know that they're not as to me, I'm like, the Cubs spend money more flippantly than the Cardinals do, but they're still not one of those teams that like they still spend their money the Midwest way overall. But I just know they're gonna do at least one or two things that like Cubs fans are gonna be so ecstatic about and are gonna be rough moments for me. But yeah, there's a lot of teams, I think, you know, even the Mets and the Padres who they're doing things. The Red Sox are doing things. The Mariners, they're doing things, but they're not doing things that the fan bases are super excited about. But, you know, the free agent class isn't the best or most exciting overall. And there's been a lot of ebbs and flows and, you know, blockers in these massive superstar contracts of Ohtani and Yamamoto. So it's just kind of been a weird off season for a number of different reasons. And I think the timing is more of the frustration than how it will ultimately all play out. Should be a fun next month to spring training.
So, you know, spring training starts in 48 days, guys. 48 days.
We're almost there.
We're almost there. Opening day is in 81 days. 81. So where do the Cardinals spring train? Don't the Cardinals spring train in Florida?
In Jupiter, yeah.
Jupiter. Okay. I'm like, that's not where the Astros spring train.
They will actually play, I think, their last few games of spring training in Arizona because they're opening the season in LA. So they are kind of like making their way over to West Coast time and playing the last few games there, which is interesting. So, you know, my mom is a Cubs fan and they spring train in Arizona as well. So we'll see. Maybe this will be the time that me and Kim Bird have to go to spring training together if we can see both the Cubs and the Cardinals.
Right.
And the Astros all at once.
Like if that happens, then I will definitely have to make the trek to Florida.
I will let you know because I kind of forgot about that until you just brought it up that we had thought about that.
Yeah. I want to say that, but because Jupiter is more like further north, I want to say, because
it is, yeah. It's like
we spring train and closer to Miami, but like, yeah, definitely closer to Miami than.
Yeah, I think they're like an hour and a half or so, maybe even a couple hours from Miami.
But okay, well, if that happens, we shall make some sort of content.
Ooh, that'd be really fun.
Yes. So
all kinds of good stuff coming up.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, with that, we will, because we've run long this episode for like not many hot stove moves. We've just got
a lot to say about it.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. No, you know what? I'm not sorry.
I'm not sorry.
You're welcome. Yeah. But with that, we will wrap it up. Kelsey, where can the people find you?
They can find me on Twitter at KBirdTweet, which is right here below if you are watching on the YouTube. There's a link tree there on my Twitter that will take you to absolutely every other place that you can find me. But my weekly podcast is called Peace, Love, and Baseball. And if you listen in for the upcoming week, you might just hear a familiar voice. We might be talking some Astros this upcoming week. So yeah, we're doing a team feature on the Astros. So if you've not listened in yet and you're an Astros fan, or if you're not and you just want to, learn more about each of the baseball franchises, this could be the week to check it out. So find me there at KBirdTweets or just, look up Peace, Love, and Baseball, Google it. You'll find it on all the podcast platforms and here on YouTube as well.
For sure. So with that, we will say goodnight. We will wrap it up. I say goodnight. It's like
good night, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are.
Right, wherever. Maybe you're listening at night. I don't know. But please, please, please give us a 5-star rating. Leave us a review if for some reason you give us less than 5 stars, because that's just rude. But I would like to know why you gave us, like a less than 5-star rating.
And if it's related to trash bag human beings, just again, keep on moving because no.
Definitely. And then hit subscribe on the YouTubes. Apparently it's a big red button. I don't know. Tell all your friends, because that's how we grow. And apparently all of the listeners in Japan, thank you, because we keep charting on the Japanese Apple podcast charts. I don't know where you found us, but we are very, very thankful for you. United States listeners, I need you to get on your horse and start listening.
Friends.
Yeah.
Just one friend.
Yeah. And if that friend sends it to a friend, like that's what happens. There's my alarm to take my ADHD meds. So time to go. And with that, we will wrap it up. I'm going to find my mouse and I'm going to hit and record. Yay, baseball!